Now this is my GameCube that I picked up from Japan back when I was there roughly in 2019. I got it for about 500 yen, which is about $6 Australian. It was marked as junk even though it completely works. Could be due to the light top surface damage, I really don't know. For $6 I consider it as a bargain, especially since it's 20 years old and it works. It's old enough to obtain a full driving license. Now what I plan to do with the GameCube was to modify in a way that will prolong the life of the laser. This includes installing a Xeno GC mod chip, getting a copy of Swiss, and implementing SD to SP2. The overall plan is to essentially offload booting homebrews, backups and stuff like that from the DVD drive to the SD card that will sit in serial port 2. Taking the GameCube apart was quite easy, but the initial 4 case screws were quite difficult as they were Nintendo security screws. Now there are plenty of ways to remove these screws. For example, you could buy a corresponding screwdriver. However, I wanted to save $1, so what I did was I melted a pen without the ink cartridge and then jammed it on top of the security screw. I then let it cool and it perfectly molded around the screw. You can find out more information about this method through a basic Google search. Now the initial goal was to disassemble the GameCube to get to the underside of the DVD drive. You can easily find a guide online that will help you to properly disassemble the GameCube. Now the reason why we have to get to the underside of the GameCube's drive is because that's where the Xeno GC mod chip has to be soldered to. And it can be soldered in 2 different ways, wirelessly or with wires. I chose the wire option as I wasn't willing to risk the wireless install, as I felt that the wire install would be easy and less potentially damaging to my GameCube. Now I'm not gonna lie to you, this was somewhat of a bodge job. If I have to for next time, I'll keep the wires as short as possible. Apparently longer wires can mess up the install of the Xeno GC. And I also used a bit of electrical tape in order to protect the contact points of the mod chip, so there won't be any short circuits against the shielding. Overall, the process took me about an hour. The most difficult aspect was the actual soldering onto the points on the GameCube DVD drive mainboard. These points were so small I was worried about accidentally soldering 2 points on the board together and end up accidentally short circuiting and frying the cube. Well, now it's time to test out the mod chip, see if it works and see if the GameCube still functions as normal. Alright, let's set this baby up. Control I'll do last. That's right, I'm using a Wii AC adapter. It's about the same voltage and same amount of current output that goes into the GameCube. The original, like the actual adapter for the Nintendo GameCube, is about 50 to 60 bucks on eBay, like used, genuine. So I'm like, screw that. I could just easily modify the Nintendo Wii's what do you call this little plug? It's about the same size, except the shape is slightly different. So what I ended up doing was just butchering the hell out of this in order for it to fit. Now, if you're also interested in using a Wii AC adapter for your GameCube, here is a diagram. As long as the polarities match, it should be fine. Since the GameCube's power requirements match the Wii's AC adapter's supply, I believe the voltage matches, and I think the Wii AC adapter provides an additional half an amp to the GameCube. Obviously, if the polarity is wrong, it's gonna end up causing the GameCube to basically pop. Electric pop. Now what I'm gonna do is first actually do a test of a genuine game. Alright, let's turn on the TV. I don't know if this works. Oh. I'm not 100% sure how the CRT is gonna look on video, because I think on older cameras it kinda has that weird effect, a weird waving effect. Oh, you can't see it. Okay, that's okay. Let's take this out for a second. Let's plug in. Let's put in. Apparently there's like a weird region mod where you can convert what do you call it, Nintendo into... okay, I got it. Wow, this is so trippy. Why is it in like... It might be the GameCube settings as well. So it's not the GameCube settings, but it's actually the console itself being a Japanese console, an NTSC, and the television is actually a PAL television, since I'm based in Australia. It looks like the laser works. Thought it died out. Naruto, something in Japanese, 3, start button. Alright. Works fine. Anyway, it works. Test out Swiss. So this will act as like a burnt copy. Like a backup, a game backup, because I don't actually have any game backups for this. Swiss, there you go, Swiss for GC. Does this work? Obviously. Dragon Ball, what the hell is this? It's my memory card save, alright. Alright, now it's important for me to prolong the life of the laser as much as I can. So what I did was I got my hands on a SP2. Now this converts the serial port 2 into like a SD card reader and reads some micro SD cards, and you know, I could put in like a lot of my game backups onto this, and it'd be a way for me to prolong the life of the laser, so it won't be using the laser as much anymore compared to reading an actual disc, which, because between every like different, like for example with Naruto, it would be like every time a new match begins, it'll start reading the disc to get the data for the maps and stuff, etc, etc. And with this, I can use the laser at the start to boot the disc, the Swiss, but once it's like loaded up, like right on screen, I can easily have the game boot from like an SD card. Alright, so what I'm going to do next is put this in. Alright, next up I need to actually install this into the GameCube. There you go. Alright. It's installed, let's see if it works. Fingers crossed. Woo. Now in Swiss you can see a games folder which contains 4 game backups. 3 of them are PAL region and 1 is NTSC-J, so Japanese region. I did this just to show that no matter what region the game is, I will be able to play it. Now the first game I'm going to test is the backup copy of the Japanese Naruto game I had played earlier. Now there are a bunch of options here, for example cheats. Obviously it's for putting cheats in your games. And then there's the game settings options, which changes certain aspects of the game, for example with forcing a certain video mode. But I left the settings unchanged as I wanted to see how the game looks first. Now it's time to see if this actually boots. Well, since I'm seeing this memory card message, I'm going to assume it's going to work 100% and no issues will rise from further gaming. However, I'm still going to test it out just in case. Alright, so I don't see any noticeable lag or any issues with the intro video. Now at this point I was playing for a while. I didn't record any of it because there were no issues and it would have been quite boring. So now I'm going to test out the other games, the ones in PAL region. The game I went with was Dragon Ball Z Budokai. It's one of the first games I've ever played. It's one of my favorite games. I think the first time I played this game was on the PS2 when I was 7, 8. And it was also the last time I probably played this game as well. So it's going to be such a nostalgic hit once I get this game going. Now at this point, I'm going to assume it completely works, just like with the Naruto game. I haven't seen that in years. Oh god. Finally a menu I can understand. Well, there you have it. My working GameCube, which I got from Japan for 500 yen. And it's working brilliantly, and I have no complaints. However, for full transparency, I did invest a certain amount of capital into this GameCube. I spent $30 Australian for a genuine GameCube controller. It came with its genuine box and manuals. It was an auction win. I spent $5 Australian on 2 SD to SP2 and Swiss DVD. I don't know why I got 2 of them, the 2 SP2s, but hey, I'm not gonna complain. The Xeno GC mod chip was for $5 Australian, bought it off a Chinese seller on eBay. The Japanese Naruto game was for around about $5 Australian. It was an auction win. The seller was located in Japan, and since international postage is expensive, I'm going to assume the seller made a loss on selling it to me. The memory card was for about $10 Australian, straight from China. It's not a genuine product, and for an extra $5 I could have gotten the real thing, which I should have. But my main goal was to keep my costs down and see how much capital do I really need for this GameCube. I was working with a slightly tight budget. The power supply is from a Nintendo Wii console package I bought off eBay for about $1. Again, it was an auction win, and it came with everything it needed. Genuine GameCube power supplies on eBay are roughly about $50 Australian. It's just nah, it's too much. And finally, the AV cables. They cost me about $3 Australian on eBay, and I was gonna buy it now. Alright, the total for everything, including GameCube, cost me about $65 Australian. Now this may seem a bit much, especially since I only spent $6 Australian for the thing. However, I just checked out on eBay and saw that the cheapest buy now GameCube is an Indigo Japanese GameCube, console only, for $89.95. Basically $90. What the fuck? For comparison, on eBay I found complete Nintendo Wii consoles, with the controller, power supply and everything, with the ability to play GameCube games for about $65 Australian. There could be a various number of reasons why the GameCube costs a lot more. For example, it's older, has had less units sold, and thus rarer than the Wii. About 101.63 million Wii consoles were sold worldwide, whereas the GameCube only sold about 21.74 million units. Anyway, overall I am happy and pleased at how well it worked out for me. From picking it up from Japan for $6 Australian, flying it down here and soldering a mod chip, which turned out great since I didn't fry it and is now able to run and play my game backups without any issues. If you are interested in my content, please subscribe, check out my other videos, more videos to come soon. Bye!